The mansion next door was always silent, its tall iron gates keeping the world at a distance. No one dared to bother the man who lived inside, Ethan Cole, a grumpy CEO and billionaire known for his coldness. He worked late nights, snapped at his staff, and had no patience for neighbors. To everyone, he was untouchable. Until one morning, a timid knock shattered that silence. Ethan, coffee in hand, opened the door, already frowning. Standing there was a little girl in a faded yellow dress, clutching a backpack almost as big as her. Her eyes were wide, full of innocence, but her voice trembled as she asked the most unexpected question. "Will you walk me to school?" Ethan blinked, certain he had misheard. "What? Kid, don't you have parents for that?" he grumbled. She bit her lip and looked down. "Mom's sick, and Dad's not here. You live next door. Please? Just today?" For a moment, something stirred in him, something he hadn't felt in years. Still, he shook his head. "I'm busy. Find someone else." He shut the door. But as he sat back at his desk, her tiny voice echoed in his mind. The innocence. The desperation. And the way she looked at him, not as a billionaire, not as a monster, but simply as a neighbor who could help. For the first time in years, Ethan Cole couldn't focus on his work. The little girl's question haunted him. "Will you walk me to school?" The next morning, Ethan tried to ignore the sound of birds chirping and children laughing outside. But there it was again, a knock at his door. He opened it to see the same little girl, her backpack heavier than before, her hopeful eyes locked on him. "I waited," she whispered. "Will you walk me to school today?" Ethan groaned. He had a meeting in an hour, deadlines piling up, and the last thing he needed was babysitting. But something about her persistence disarmed him. Without a word, he grabbed his jacket and muttered, "Fine. Let's go." The girl's smile lit up her entire face. She skipped beside him, talking nonstop about her favorite teacher, the stray cat she fed, and how she wanted to be a doctor one day to make sick people better. Ethan barely listened at first, his mind still tangled in business deals. But as her small hand brushed against his, he felt a strange warmth he hadn't known in years. When they reached the school gates, she turned to him, beaming. "Thank you, Mr. Neighbor. You walk like a superhero." The words pierced something deep inside him. No one had called Ethan a hero, not in decades. He watched her run inside, her laughter trailing behind her. Walking back alone, Ethan realized his world felt quieter, emptier. For the first time, he wondered if his towering mansion and millions truly mattered, when a little girl's simple smile had shaken him more than any business victory ever could. The following evening, Ethan noticed the girl sitting on her porch steps, hugging her knees. Her mother, pale and weak, coughed from inside the house. Ethan hesitated, then walked over. "Why aren't you inside?" he asked, his voice softer than usual. She glanced up. "Mom doesn't want me to worry. But I know she's sick. Sometimes she doesn't eat so I can." Ethan froze. He had spent fortunes on luxury cars, vacations, and business deals, yet right next door, a child was skipping meals. "Where's your father?" he asked. Her eyes darkened. "He left when I was little. Mom says we're better off alone." Something heavy pressed against Ethan's chest. He remembered being a boy, waiting for a father who never came home. He had buried that pain under success, wealth, and arrogance. But seeing it reflected in this girl's eyes reopened old wounds. The girl forced a smile. "It's okay. I just want Mom to get better. That's why I asked you to walk me to school, so she could rest." Ethan swallowed hard. For the first time in years, he felt powerless, not because of money or failure, but because kindness was being asked of him, and he wasn't sure he deserved to give it. That night, instead of reviewing contracts, Ethan found himself pacing the floor, her small, tired face burned into his mind. Somewhere inside, a decision was forming, one that would change everything. The next morning, Ethan was already waiting outside when the girl opened her door. Her face lit up in surprise. "You came!" she gasped. He cleared his throat. Don't keep me waiting. We've got a school to reach. From that day on, Ethan walked her every morning. Slowly, their conversations grew. She asked about his work, and for the first time, he explained it without boardrooms or profit margins, just dreams and determination. She told him about the science fair she wanted to win, and how she secretly prayed at night for her mom's health. One morning, as they neared the school, she slipped her hand into his. "Mr. Cole, can I tell you a secret?" He nodded. "You're my favorite grown-up. Even more than my teacher." His throat tightened. No deal, no title, no magazine cover had ever given him such validation. That night, Ethan sat in his grand dining hall, the silence crushing. He realized he didn't want to just be her neighbor. He wanted to be someone she could rely on. He made a promise to himself. He would help this little girl and her mother, no matter what it cost. And for the first time in decades, Ethan Cole, the grumpy CEO, felt something stirring inside. Not profit. Not pride. But purpose. One evening, as Ethan returned from work, he saw an ambulance parked outside the girl's home. His heart dropped. He rushed forward, finding her crying on the porch. "They're taking Mom to the hospital," she sobbed. "I don't know what to do." Without thinking, Ethan knelt beside her, pulling her close. "You're not alone anymore," he whispered. At the hospital, doctors explained that her mother had ignored treatment too long. Medical bills had piled up, and without help, her chances were slim. Ethan didn't hesitate. "Send every bill to me," he told them. The girl's mother protested weakly. "I can't accept." "You can't," Ethan interrupted gently. "Because your daughter needs you. And I need her smile." Tears filled her mother's eyes. That night, Ethan stayed by the girl's side in the hospital waiting room, holding her hand until she fell asleep. For once, Ethan wasn't thinking about meetings or markets. He was thinking about how fragile life was, how much kindness mattered. In that sterile, quiet hallway, the walls Ethan had built around his heart finally crumbled. He realized that all his wealth meant nothing if he couldn't use it to change a life standing right beside him. Weeks passed, and her mother slowly recovered with proper care. Every morning, Ethan continued his routine, walking the little girl to school, her laughter now brighter than ever. Neighbors whispered in shock. The cold CEO had become a gentle guardian. One day, as they reached the school gates, she turned to him. "Mr. Cole, do you think you'll keep walking me? Even when Mom gets better?" Ethan smiled, a rare and genuine one. "As long as you'll have me." Years later, people would still remember the strange friendship between a lonely millionaire and the little girl next door. She would grow up to be the doctor she dreamed of, her journey fueled by kindness she never forgot. And Ethan? He found a family he never thought he deserved. The mansion gates no longer stood closed. Children played on his lawn, neighbors shared dinners at his table, and the man once feared for his temper became known for his heart. All because one morning, a little girl had knocked on his door and asked, "Will you walk me to school?" And he finally said yes.